All right, hello everyone. I am going to be running through the 6 songs in the EP, The Path, and explaining my thought process behind them, and I hope you enjoy it. Here we go. First song is The Path. I guess I'm asleep, daylight hidden from me, no way to see who I should be. All this depends on a few axioms. Show me the finish line, I'll find the path to get there. So this song is halfway between giving up on finding clarity and exactly who I should be, but also still hoping for that finish line that I can maybe stumble across at the end. It also mentions how some small adjustments in philosophy could completely change the trajectory of my actions. So I'm desperately trying to get a clear image of what those guiding principles should be so I can be confident moving forward, but instead of getting clearer, it just kind of gets fuzzier. Take the thoughts out from my mind and push my body back in line. My soul is left wanting after all these things I've tried. I've worked so hard to craft a plan, pictures and letters and diagrams. They never satisfy this lack of purpose that I have. So this is the point where I admit the limitations of my own rational mind and conscious efforts. Trying to study the path on a conscious level has gotten me, pretty far. It's useful, but it's kind of failing me now. And I'm asking God to take the thoughts out of my mind and just push my body back in line so I can at least walk the path, even if I don't really know what's happening or I don't fully understand it. I don't want to be good. I don't want to be good. I just want to be okay. Don't want to hurt nobody. Don't want to cause no pain. So this first verse was the starting point of the song, talking about that feeling when maybe you're not doing too hot and you desperately want some balance and peace, some homeostasis, inside. And it's not like you want to be evil or anything, but being the perfect model human isn't really at the forefront of your mind. You're just in that place of longing and need that completely dominates your thoughts, and you don't have the energy to think about that much else. It's very much like a Maslow's hierarchy of needs sort of thing. I want to spend some time with my friends and my wife. I'd remember every moment we looked into each other's eyes. This just goes into what kind of longing is really being felt. It's mostly a desire for personal connection that would hit the spot, so to speak. I didn't want to go to war. I didn't want to kill those men. Didn't want to be the gun in some politician's hands. Here it becomes obvious that the character in the song is not me. I have not killed anyone, thankfully. It's like I'm spending all my time committing someone else's crimes. Don't blame me for my sharp tongue. I stood no chance under the knife. So the character I was imagining here was kind of a homeless veteran who is in a rough spot. Their practical needs are not being met, and they're also kind of emotionally broken and scarred from some of their life experiences. And throughout this whole song, you can hear Joyce's vocals kind of gently coming through the background, kind of this angelic presence in the song. I was trying to create an image of these two extremes where we're following a person on earth who is suffering, contrasted with that heavenly presence that is sort of wordlessly singing over, watching over the man and his pain. But also, it has that cosmic indifference in that perspective of being zoomed out. Then suddenly that distant angelic voice kind of breaks in and speaks the exact same words as the man. And this was Joyce's idea to back that vocal, and it was an incredible addition for sure. And there's some fascinating way that aligns, where heaven kind of inhabits that man's passionate cry and really feels what he's feeling in that moment, despite that kind of cosmic perspective that it had before. No, I don't want to die because I haven't lived yet. See, I don't have any friends. I don't have any wife. This is kind of the come down where we see that even though there are these moments where heaven coincides with us and is with us, there is that devastating reality of many people's unrequited longing for connection and loneliness. It is kind of a gut punch, since earlier we thought that he did have some family and friends, but the truth is that he doesn't. I repeat the verse at the end here. I don't want to be good. I just want to be okay. Don't want to hurt nobody. Don't want to cause no pain. And I repeat the first line here, and after hearing his full story, it kind of makes more sense exactly what he means when he says this and how desperate that statement is. I just want to be okay. And this song is, I think, the only song that I cried a lot after writing it. And it's also one of the only songs that is not just about me and my thoughts or whatnot. It is definitely a favorite of mine for that reason, and hopefully I can do more, non-autobiographical songs in the future. All right, song number 3, All About Me. All this time I've claimed to seek layers of beauty and mystery, but when I found them, was I content? Did I need some sort of sacrament that was all about me? This is specifically talking about religion, which I don't think is a dirty word. I think religion is us trying to understand our relationship with the divine. And at least for me, I hit this point where I felt like I was hyper-focused on how I related to God rather than focusing on God full stop, which is, it's a subtle difference, but there's probably a balance between focusing on that relationship versus just the objective nature of things. But I did feel like I at least needed to step back and make it less about me. Also, on an intellectual level, I think I had pigeonholed myself in the way that I was thinking. If I'm so comfortable believing in one form of salvation, I'm going to ignore information that would disrupt that belief, right? One minute, I think I'm going to heaven believing this form of salvation, and if that belief were to change, all of a sudden I believe maybe I'm going to hell, or maybe I'm going to zap out of existence when I die. And that's a big mental barrier to cross. So I kind of decided to be okay with whatever answer came. Maybe God is benevolent and died on the cross to save me, or maybe God doesn't really care about me, or maybe he's not there at all. I felt like if I was concerned about finding the truth of the matter, I needed to be open to any of those possibilities rather than just trying to only consider the possibility that made me feel good. So I come and I repent. Have we made fools out of all the king's men? Was gonna be a hero but had to pay rent. Now I'm trying to convince myself I'm a man. This verse walks through how we might get caught up in the daily activities of survival and slowly get trapped in only thinking about ourselves. And it doesn't feel narcissistic at the time. All we're trying to do is take care of ourselves and kind of deal with our own insecurities. But I think the outcome of that process is still a very self-centered attitude and perspective. All the hope that I have, all about me, every question I've asked. Even the questions I asked about God were always centered about how I related to him. I open my eyes and try to see, but suffering paints my phenomenology. So this line highlights the fact that my experience of reality is colored by my own suffering and my own personal kind of sensations. All of the truth and all of the love is something I can't see here, like my heart is half shut. Ultimately, it feels like a shame that I can't directly observe reality. It's always through this kind of cloudy lens of my personal experiences. And of course, we can make true observations about the world, as conscious, aware beings. But we always have that other half of our thoughts that are only concerned about taking care of me. So it feels like kind of the doors of perception are always cracked, and it lets some of that light in, but it's never fully open so that we can just experience all the beauty of reality without our own interests and desires and needs kind of clouding that. The problem with people is the problem with me. I can't get outside this lonely machine. So same thing as the last verse. I just want to see reality and other people exactly as they are without all my desires and insecurities corrupting that relationship. It feels like that blocks the connection that we can have with other people. It does, kind of make me feel like a lonely machine sometimes that's just unable to get outside of all my own personal needs and desires that turns the focus inward rather than letting it just expand freely and openly. Burned into memory. Driving on the 405, going somewhere new, graffiti covering the walls like prehistoric drawings. I can't tell the reason, but it's all we want to do. Vandalize and spread our lives across a timeline. So for this song, I took a trip to California to visit my grandparents who live out there. And at one point I was driving into Los Angeles on the I-405 and noticing the incredible amount of graffiti everywhere. And I had also just visited a museum that included some kind of faint cave paintings. And that parallel between the graffiti and the cave paintings kind of struck me, of people who leave a mark, often trying to communicate something specific and possibly trying to get remembered, but it usually just gets expressed as this kind of destructive vandalism. Burned into memory. Everything used to mean something. Now it might as well all just say the same thing. So in that museum with the cave painting, the plaque said that no one knew exactly what the painting meant. It was probably some signpost used for directions or something like that. It was just weird to consider how we create all of these notes and signs with such specific meaning, and how almost all of that information fades with time and this just massive march towards obsolescence. All those bits of graffiti just with specific meanings sort of sink into a noisy canvas. During that same trip, I talked with my great uncle Bob about honoring our ancestors, actually, and how even as you do your best to honor them, they do slowly fade from memory, and all we have at some point is kind of a vague appreciation for past generations, that we owe our lives to them and all the work that they did, but who they are is nonetheless long forgotten. I'm trading all the time I have while I'm still alive, planting flags on a hill and carving letters in the side of that tree that's by my house so that time will know our thoughts. This just talks about how I obsess over writing down my thoughts and making statements, caring so much about being heard and remembered by other people. But someone came last year and cut it down to heat their house. They prayed a simple prayer that they would never die, with the warmth of the fire growing brighter and brighter. And I can't help but feel a bit confused by the thought, did they destroy my monument, or finally am I burned into memory? So this verse combines a few ideas, and I don't have a clear interpretation for all of it, but you've got this wood or this tree that I engraved my name into, now fueling the fire that's keeping someone else alive, while they're also praying for salvation, that they would never die. So while my original intention for growing a tree maybe and carving my name into it was to have my name remembered, that tree ended up being fuel for the continued renewal of life for subsequent generations, certainly in the practical sense that it was keeping its house warm, but also there's that overlaid concept of eternal life through religious salvation juxtaposed on top of all of that interaction. Burned into memory. Yeah, burned into memory at the end kind of has two meanings, where it could mean seared into memory, never to be forgotten, or it could also mean consumed and destroyed out of existence, kind of into just memory. So I don't know which one it's supposed to mean, but that's that. Supposed to be. Sometimes we could walk over the seas, even if it's only in our heads. Is this illusion of feeling free the way it's supposed to be? This song is actually something I recorded a long time ago, and it just served nicely as an interlude on the EP. It's talking about the tension between dreams and reality, and whether that perfect image of life that we like to imagine is really able to be brought into existence or not. How much of that, kingdom of heaven can be brought down to earth, and is that a pipe dream, sort of, or is that actually achievable? Is that what we're trying to do here? The sun comes out. Looking farther away, can't be bothered half as much as yesterday. Adding the numbers laid out in front of me, can't be bothered. I know you've got something here for me, opportunity around every corner in the street. I won't throw away this precious day. So this is a pretty simple song, and the first half is describing how I've resigned myself to going through the motions of life and work, and I'm finding it hard to rouse my spirit and interest to actually engage with people and hobbies and that sort of thing. But just because I'm feeling down doesn't mean that there aren't still opportunities out there, and I'm trying in the song to sort of appreciate that. The sun comes out and I'm miles away, but I feel its warmth on my face. So this is the first line of the song that I thought of, and it came to me when I was outside and the sun actually hit my face. I was kind of coasting through some event that I didn't particularly want to be at, and there was something so relaxing and kind of surprising about the sun warming me up in that moment that made me forget about myself for a second in my grumpy mood. The sun comes out, I'm miles gone, but I'll be all right for one more day. This does kind of wrap up the EP as best as I could, not with a perfect conclusion, but at least with a resolution to keep moving forward every day, trying to take care of myself and not worrying about tomorrow. It's a much more humble position probably than the beginning, where I was trying to chart out the grand finish line, at the end of my life. Now I'm just trying to focus on the present moment and keeping myself in the sunlight so I can kind of be refreshed and revived as I go. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. And keep an eye out for music coming soon. Bye.